So my name's Jen Brechtel. I'm the community health educator at the Concord Regional Visiting Nurse Association. And I primarily am here to talk to you about resources. And I'm really going to focus on those resources we have here in the greater Concord area. So for the most part, when you think about community resources, there are two great resources we have in the state. They're statewide resources, which when I talk about them, most people are familiar with them. One of them is ServiceLink, which when I say ServiceLink, I see a lot of heads going, yes. For those of you who aren't familiar with ServiceLink, they are a statewide resource. They have offices in each of the counties in our state, but they focus on older adults and adults with disabilities, and they're kind of a place you call and ask your question, and then they can refer you out to the appropriate agencies or organizations to help you. The other organization you can utilize is, it's called 211. And the nice thing about 211 is you just have to remember the numbers 211 because you pick up your phone and you dial 211, and that again will bring you to an information resource center. And they can, once again, give you the options available for whatever you're looking for. So thinking about other resources that are out there, here in Concord, the Concord Regional VNA does a lot of community outreach. We do a lot for individuals living with memory impairment. We do a lot to support family caregivers who are caring for those individuals who are living with memory impairment. One thing that we do in conjunction with Concord Hospital, Dartmouth-Hitchcock Concord, and Granite Ledges of Concord is to offer what we call the Capital Area Memory Cafe. Are people familiar with memory cafes and the concept of a memory cafe? No? Okay, I'm seeing some yeses and some no's. So memory cafes are relatively new, if you will, and new being probably about 17 or 18 years ago. They started over in the Netherlands. And really, it's a place for people who are living with memory impairment, dementia, Alzheimer's, and their loved ones, their families, to come and be with other people who are living with the disease or caring for someone living with the disease. It's an opportunity to be with people who are experiencing similar situations or similar struggles, or I even say similar successes. Sometimes we tend to focus on all of the bad things and maybe sometimes forget the good things. So the Memory Cafe is a nice place to come to be with people who are living with the disease and their loved ones. In Concord, we started our Memory Cafe in 2013, so it's relatively new to us. Memory Cafes came to the United States in 2008, and currently in the state we have 10 different Memory Cafes. There's one in Lebanon, there's a couple in Manchester, I think there's some out on the seacoast, Peterborough. So if you don't live here in Concord, I'm thinking most of us probably do, but if not, I can tell you if you're looking for a memory cafe in a particular community, where that might be. But the Memory Cafe that we have here in Concord, we do it a little bit different than some other memory cafes, and I think you'll find if you go to different memory cafes, each of them maybe does things a little bit differently. In Concord, and there's a schedule on the table in the back of what we do, but each month we have a different topic. And those topics range from what we call a cafe chat, where we would provide an opportunity for individuals to talk to a healthcare professional about the different struggles or questions or concerns they have about their loved one's memory impairment or their own memory impairment. We're very fortunate with the Capital Area Memory Cafe that we're linked to Concord Hospital and Dartmouth-Hitchcock Concord, so we have those physicians and those professionals to come in. January is a cafe chat, and we'll have Dr. Julia Burdick there, who is primary care at Dartmouth-Hitchcock in Concord. And our cafe meets on the third Wednesday of every month from 2 to 4 at Granite Ledges. But really, along with the educational piece that we have, we spend a lot of time socializing. So, when people start to get there at 2 o'clock, that really is the time to enjoy refreshments, enjoy each other's company, and socialize. And then we have our program, which some programs go from a half hour to an hour, and then we socialize again at the end. So memory cafes are a great opportunity to be able to spend time with your loved one if you're a caregiver who is caring for someone with memory impairment or dementia. So that's one opportunity that is out there. Other things that are available in the community is a program called Powerful Tools for Caregivers. So do I have caregivers in this room? I'm thinking I probably do, yes. So Powerful Tools for Caregivers is another option available, and it's for people caring for anyone, whether their loved one has dementia, Alzheimer's, memory impairment, or if they have COPD or CHF. But it's an opportunity for caregivers to kind of come together to learn ways to take care of themselves. We all know, especially if we are a caregiver, that finding time to take care of ourselves can be very difficult. So what Powerful Tools for Caregiver does is it really works to help people realize that in order to be the best possible caregiver you can be, it's finding time for yourself and to take care of yourself, to go to those doctor's appointments or take that 5-minute walk back, to the mailbox and back. Because as caregivers, sometimes that's really difficult to do. So we spend a lot of time talking about how do we reduce our personal stress? How do we kind of adapt our talk? Sometimes we can be really negative about our role or how we're providing care to our loved one. So we talk about, not doing that and finding the positive in what we're doing. We talk a lot about communication. We talk a lot about, the emotional side of caregiving and things like that. So Powerful Tools for Caregivers is a nice option for people. It's educational in nature, but you can imagine when you get anywhere from 10 to 12 family caregivers in a room, it really kind of morphs into that supportive environment as well, where you're able to kind of share and speak freely about your experiences as a caregiver. A lot of times people who are in that class are caring for loved ones who have some form of dementia or memory impairment or Alzheimer's. So keeping that in mind. Other things that are available in the community for someone who's living with memory impairment or their caregiver, depending on where they're at in the disease progression, might be a program called Better Choices, Better Health. And that's offered a couple of different places in the capital area. But really, that's a program for people living with chronic illness. So whether it is a congestive heart failure or memory impairment, dementia, whether it's the person living with the disease or their caregiver, it's a place where they can come once again and learn how to manage the symptoms that they're experiencing. Melissa talked a lot about the importance of early diagnosis. So you can start to kind of get things in order and prepare for what the future might look like as far as what are your healthcare decisions. Better Choices, Better Health really helps people to do that. We spend a lot of time kind of planning and thinking about what do we want to do, what's our long-term goal, and then we break it down into smaller, more manageable action plans. With this being the new year, some of us might have had some relatively lofty New Year's resolutions. And if you've ever made New Year's resolutions in the past, if you've got that big lofty goal, it's really hard to get there unless you have the small steps to put you on the right path. So that's what Better Choices, Better Health really does, is it helps people kind of learn ways to manage their health condition, but do it in a way that really helps them to be successful. And it's those small successful action steps that really kind of helps people get to where they need to be. So thinking about that as well. Support groups are relatively difficult. There are a couple of support groups in Concord that I know of, and if anybody knows of any others, please feel free to chime in. TLC, the Adult Medical Day Care on Loudon Road here in Concord, has a support group that is for family caregivers. There also is a support group that meets in the town of Ware. They meet twice a month, where TLC also meets twice a month, actually. They meet at the Holy Cross Church. A great place to go to get information on support groups is going to be your service link or your 211 because they're going to have that information. Another thing to keep in mind, if you're someone who's providing care to a loved one who has Alzheimer's or dementia, the Alzheimer's Association has their 24-hour helpline, and those are trained professionals. So no matter what time of day it is, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the morning, if you're having a difficult time in a situation with your loved one, feel free to call that 800 number. You will get that trained professional on the line, and they really can help you by talking you through how to manage that particular situation. And there are handouts on the back table for that as well.
Piggyback on that real quick, is that if you call that number nights, weekends, holidays, basically outside of normal business hours, you're going to get our National Alzheimer's Association call center in Chicago. But if you say, I'm calling from Pennacook and I'd really like someone from the Bedford office in New Hampshire to call me back, you're going to get me and I'm going to call you back. So now you know who that other person on the line is. So that's a really nice local feature, because they will email me and say, we provided someone with some support on Christmas morning, but they really could use some local follow-up, some local resources, and that's a way that we can get connected with you, and so you know that we're kind of in your backyard, basically. Mm-hmm. So, and I can give you the 1-800 number as well, and it, like Jen said, there's a flyer in the back for that. So.
And I think the biggest thing when you think about resources and you think about the community, it's always important to ask. You're never going to get the answer or find the resource if you don't ask the question. And whether that is to a friend who maybe has experience caring for a loved one who's got memory impairment or dementia or Alzheimer's, or whether it is to a service link or a 211, or you could always call the Concord Regional VNA, and we can try and get you in touch with the appropriate resources. It's important to make sure that you're getting the support you need, whether you're the person who's diagnosed with memory impairment or Alzheimer's or dementia, or you're the one who's providing care to that individual. Something else we have coming up at the Visiting Nurse Association is we are going to do a memory loss film series with the Hooksett Public Library starting in the spring. So in November, we had a very successful showing of a film called The Memory Loss Tapes. And I see some familiar faces from that in this room. So we're going to kind of show the memory loss tapes again, but we're also going to do show the documentary The Caregivers, and then we're going to also show the documentary Grandpa, Do You Know Who I Am, which really focuses on children and kind of helping children understand and realize what's going on as their parent or their grandparent begins to show signs or symptoms of memory impairment and Alzheimer's. So it's important to note that a lot of the programs that we offer at the Concord Regional VNA, we offer them at no charge. So whether it's that Powerful Tools for Caregivers class, or it's that Better Choices, Better Health class, or it's the Capital Area Memory Cafe, all of those are offered at no charge. We're really trying to make sure that we're supporting our community. And the best way we find to do that is to offer these types of educational opportunities. So